Today, we're counting down 15 Japanese motorcycles dropping in value fast and breaking down exactly why. You'll see classics that aged out, sleepers no one ever gave a chance, and bikes that were just too far ahead of their time. And stick around for number one, because that bike, it's so cheap right now, you could flip it for profit by the weekend. Number 15, Honda CB300R. Ever seen a bike that looks like it should be a hit, but just sits there, collecting showroom dust like an old toaster? And for some reason, totally ignored. This thing checks all the boxes: 286 cubic centimeters, single cylinder, about 30 horsepower, barely 316 pounds soaking wet. It's got that modern cafe meets commuter look, full LED lighting, an assist and slipper clutch, and ABS, all wrapped in typical Honda bulletproof engineering. And here's the kicker: it sips gas at nearly 70 mpg. That's scooter territory. So what's the problem? Well, it's too sensible. No TFT dash, no traction control, no ride modes, a fuel tank the size of a lunchbox, and rear pegs that feel like an afterthought. Riders see basic and walk right past it toward bikes with more buttons than a spaceship. But honestly, that's nothing compared to the ghost town that is number 11. Dealers can't give that one away. And when you hear what they're throwing in with it, you'll understand why. Meanwhile, dealers are stuck. These bikes just sit. So they start making offers, big ones. We're talking price drops, free gear, free service, maybe even a wink and a nudge under the table, just to get the CB300R off the floor. But here's the truth: if you don't care about tech fluff and just want a dead simple, stylish city bike that'll start every morning and never ask questions, this is the one. No drama, no noise, just ride. The CB300R isn't flashy, but in a world full of overcomplicated wannabes, maybe being basic is exactly what makes it brilliant. But what if your priorities shift from modern commuter to timeless simplicity? What if instead of sharp angles and neo-retro flair, you're after pure old-school charm? The kind of bike that strips away everything except what you actually need to enjoy the ride? Then you need a machine that trades TFTs for timeless steel, high-strung engines for air-cooled thumpers, and complicated electronics for stone-simple mechanics anyone can wrench on in their garage. And the bike we're about to talk about next, it's been quietly doing exactly that for years, while others just made noise. Number 14, Suzuki TU250X. This bike's got classic looks, beginner manners, and dealer salesmen quietly praying someone finally takes it home. The Suzuki TU250X is about as old school as you can get without kicking it to start. A 249 cubic centimeter air-cooled single thumper, making around 16 to 19 horsepower depending on the year. No fairings, no fluff, just steel, spokes, and a whole lot of charm. It's light, only 326 pounds wet. It's fuel injected after 2009, and it sips gas like a bird. The kind of bike that makes commuting feel poetic, and Sunday backroads feel like a simpler time. You won't win races, but you will win hearts. So why does no one buy it? Blame the specs: rear drum brake, skinny tires, a top speed that taps out before most interstates really begin. And yeah, it looks old, which somehow became a bad thing in a market chasing pixels and plastic. Result? These bikes sit. Some have been on the floor so long, they're practically furniture. Back when they were new, they had a $4,399 MSRP. But now, you can find clean used examples for $1,600 to $2,900, with average prices hovering around $2,500. Some are showroom leftovers, others are private sales. But for the right rider, it's a gold mine. Maintenance is laughably easy. It'll run forever. And every time you park it, someone will say, "What year is that?" Even if it's a 2017. If you want tech, keep walking. But if you want a motorcycle that just rides, with zero drama, minimal bills, and enough soul to write a novel, don't sleep on the TU250X. The TU250X is dependable, yes, but it's still a city dweller at heart. No knobbies, no ground clearance, and definitely no trail cred. But don't lose hope just yet. Because if what you really want is that same bulletproof reliability, but with the freedom to leave the pavement behind, well, the next bike steps up in a way the TU simply can't. It's just as unkillable, just as overlooked, but built to go places the TU wouldn't dare. Number 13, Yamaha XT225. Don't let the humble looks fool you. This is one of the toughest dual sports ever built, and dealers know exactly why it deserves to move. The Yamaha XT225, aka the iconic Zero, rolled quietly from 1986 to 2007 with a rugged 223cc AIR-cooled single, pushing about 20 horsepower. No fuel injection, no ABS, just a reliable carbureted thumper built to outlast bikes twice its price. It weighs a mere 238 pounds dry with a low seat and high clearance, making it equally at home on pavement or dirt. So why does it sit and sit? Buyers chase high-spec ADV machines or flashy 300cc bikes, bypassing this humble trail grinder. Meanwhile, sellers have to slash prices to clear aging inventory, and that's where you come in. Right now, clean XT225s are trading hands in the $2,500 to $3,000 range, with some exceptional low-mileage examples reaching close to $3,000. Others, with a few miles and minor wear, go for $1,600 to $2,600. That's a dramatic drop from their newish XT250 successors, which start north of $5,000. Dealers are practically begging, cutting floor plan costs, bundling fees, trimming margins, just to get these off the lot. For the smart rider, that's a golden moment. Parts are ubiquitous, insurance is dirt cheap. DIY maintenance is a breeze. Owners routinely report 20K plus trouble-free miles. If you want a bike that simply works on the trail around town or even cross-country, the XT225 delivers. Simple, rugged, and quietly turning into a classic deal. Don't miss it. The XT225 is the bike dealers can't sell. Too capable for its price. Too honest for today's market. But what if you want that same bulletproof reliability without the dirt bias? What if your perfect bike isn't about where it can go, but how far it'll take you while costing pennies? That's where the next bike thrives, a dealer's nightmare. That's been outlasting trends since Reagan was president. Number 12, Honda Rebel 250. For over 3 decades, the Honda Rebel 250 has been quietly proving that simple is sometimes better. This air-cooled 234cc twin-cylinder cruiser isn't flashy, and that's exactly why it's still running after 80,000 miles for so many owners. The Rebel 250 is light, cheap, bulletproof, and incredibly easy to maintain. It's been used by riding schools, police forces, and commuters around the world. With basic valve adjustments, no complex electronics, and parts that cost next to nothing. It's the very definition of a forever bike. But here's the twist. Dealers are begging to move them. These Rebels don't sell fast, they sit. They're about comfort, not excitement. So when one hits a trade-in lot, it often gets bundled with gear, slashed on price, or quietly discounted, just so it leaves the floor. And if that sounds desperate, you haven't seen anything yet. One of the cruisers coming later in this list is so overlooked, dealers have started throwing in gear, gift cards, even service vouchers, just to clear it out. Back to the Rebel. The numbers speak volumes. People buying right now are paying in the $1,200 to $3,000 range, depending on year and condition. Older 2000s models often trade for $1,200 to $2,500, while low-mileage late models can creep toward $3,500 to $4,000. Redditors even say $2,500 for a mint '06 is fair, though some snag them for as little as $1,100 to $1,800. Insurance is low, parts are everywhere, and the online community, massive. Everyone from beginners to lifers has a soft spot for the Rebel. It won't win races, but it'll win your wallet. The Rebel 250 is the king of cheap thrills. As long as thrills mean never visiting a mechanic. But what if you want a bike just as bulletproof? but one that laughs at potholes, dirt roads, and actual thrills. What if your dream ride isn't about saving money, but ignoring terrain? That's where dealers are dumping another overlooked workhorse, one that's too rugged to die, too simple to sell. Number 11, Suzuki DR200SE. The Suzuki DR200SE isn't flashy, it's not fast, and that's exactly why it refuses to die. With a 199cc air-cooled single, the DR200SE is one of the simplest, most reliable dual sports ever made. It was built to survive trail abuse, daily commuting, and total neglect. You'll find them still running after 30,000, even 50,000 miles, with nothing but oil changes and chain lube. Most models are carbureted, kick and electric start, and dead simple to work on. Valve adjustments, just a screw and lock nut. Electronics, bare minimum. It's the perfect tool for learners, ranch riders, and off-roaders who want function over flash. But because it lacks tech, no ABS, no fancy dash, no fuel injection, it gets ignored. That's where you win. Dealers don't like bikes that sit, and the DR200SE sits. It appeals to a niche, and it moves slowly. So when one comes in, it gets discounted. Fast, floor space is money, and dealers are eager to clear these out. Yes, it's underpowered, but if your idea of riding includes gravel roads, muddy trails, and backcountry reliability, the DR200SE is gold. Parts are cheap, maintenance is easy, and there's a strong community of owners who swear by these bikes. The Suzuki DR200SE was all about rugged reliability, and for riders who wanted simple, go-anywhere function, it was perfect. But its lack of street comfort and style made it fall short for anyone chasing cruiser vibes and low-slung cool. It left a gap, the kind of gap only a bike with low-slung cruiser looks and beginner-friendly charm could fill. And that's exactly what's coming next. A baby V-twin that's been quietly haunting dealership corners for years, waiting to make a comeback. Number 10, Yamaha Verago 250. You've seen it before, parked behind a garage, covered in dust, or maybe still humming along under a brand new rider. The Yamaha Verago 250 isn't loud, isn't fast, but it refuses to die. Built from 1988 to 2007, before Yamaha slapped on the V-Star badge. This air-cooled 249 cubic centimeter V-twin is about as simple and bulletproof as motorcycles get. No fuel injection, no digital dash, just a Mikuni carb, a chain, and a motor that keeps thumping through decades. New riders love it because it's light, low, and super forgiving. Riding schools used to swear by them. They're cheap to maintain, easy to fix, and dead reliable, as long as someone hasn't let it rot in a garage since 2003. So why are dealers practically begging you to buy one? Because they can't move them. Most riders think they're too beginner or don't want to touch carbs, but that just means these bikes sit, racking up floor plan fees and taking up space that could be selling Harleys or Ninjas. So if you show even mild interest, expect a deal. Right now, clean examples are selling for $1,200 to $2,800, depending on year and condition. Yes, it's old school. Yes, it's underpowered, but the Verago 250 is also stylish, shockingly durable, and one of the most affordable cruiser buys on the used market. The Verago 250 proved that cruisers don't need size to have soul, but for some riders, that mellow twin just didn't hit hard enough. They wanted more bark, more bite, something with real thump and none of the fluff. And that's where the next bike comes in, a one-lung bruiser that's louder, leaner, and practically begging you to take it home before the dealer gives up trying. Number 9, Suzuki Savage LS650. If there's one bike dealers wish you'd just take home already, it's the LS650 Savage. From 1986 to 2020, Suzuki built this air-cooled single-cylinder thumper, first as the Savage, then later rebadged as the Boulevard S40. It's simple, old school, and flat-out bulletproof. With 30 horsepower, 45 Nm of torque, and a belt drive that cuts down on maintenance. It was built to outlast the apocalypse, if you remembered to change the oil. Its low seat height, lightweight, and easy handling made it perfect for beginners and shorter riders. It sips fuel at around 50 miles per gallon, and its air-cooled engine and carburetor setup are as easy to wrench on as a lawnmower. But why isn't it flying off the showroom floor then? Because most riders don't get it. They want ABS, digital gauges, 6 gears, and 0 vibes. Meanwhile, the Savage has none of that. Just a thumping engine, a basic suspension, and not even a trip meter. So these bikes sit, dealers discount them, floor plan fees add up. They're happy to offer trade-in deals just to move them. And if that sounds desperate, you haven't seen anything yet. One of the cruisers higher up on this list is so ignored. Dealers are bundling free gear, service credits, even waiving storage fees just to make space. Back to the Savage. Yes, it vibrates. The seat sucks. But with parts everywhere, a massive owner community, and proven long-term reliability, the Savage is a steal if you want a cruiser that's dead simple and dirt cheap to run. It was loud, raw, and tougher than a coffin nail. Great for riders who love simplicity and thump. But if you wanted comfort, smoothness, or basic tech, it just didn't cut it. That's where the next bike comes in. Quieter, cleaner, and shockingly reliable. It's not flashy, but it will outlive your riding boots. And dealers, they practically give it away. Number 8, Honda Nighthawk 250. Here's a bike that just won't die, but also just won't sell. The Honda Nighthawk 250 ran from 1991 to 2008, and while it never made headlines, it quietly built a reputation as one of the most dependable, beginner-friendly motorcycles ever made. Powered by a 234 cubic centimeter, air-cooled twin borrowed and beefed up from the Rebel, it delivers 21 horsepower and sips fuel like a miser, up to 117 miles per gallon under ideal conditions. It's lightweight, easy to handle, and has a super low seat height, making it the ultimate city runabout or first bike. Plus, it was used in MSF safety courses for years, which speaks volumes about its durability. It checks every box for a solid ride. And still, it sits. Because it's not flashy, it's carbureted. It's got drum brakes on many models, a basic dash, and power that's modest at best. Riders looking for high speed or high tech look right past it. And because it's not quite a cruiser or a sport bike, it often gets lost in the mix. That means dealers end up stuck with them. They sit on floors, they get discounted hard, trade-ins are accepted quickly, and resales happen slowly. But here's the kicker. These bikes last forever with basic maintenance. Parts are everywhere, forums are active, and insurance is dirt cheap. If you're looking for a dead simple, honest motorcycle that just gets the job done, the Nighthawk 250 is criminally underrated. It is the quiet hero, dependable, cheap, and completely overlooked. But let's be honest, it didn't stir the soul. No growl, no swagger, no presence. It was a commuter in a world that craved character. That left an opening, a gap for a bike that kept the Nighthawk's reliability, but added real cruiser attitude. And Honda had the answer, just not the one dealers expected. Number 7, Honda Shadow VLX 600. The Shadow VLX 600 should be a used bike superstar. Classic V-twin looks, Honda reliability, and a torquey 583cc engine that's rock solid. But instead, dealers are practically throwing these away. Why? Let's start with the specs. Built from 1988 to 2008, the VLX packs a liquid-cooled 52-degree V-twin with around 40 horsepower and 50 Newton-meters of torque. It's got a super low seat height, Softail-style suspension, and that signature Lopi V-twin feel, all in a manageable 500-pound package. It's the perfect middleweight cruiser, stable on highways, nimble in town, and approachable for beginners and veterans. Maintenance is a breeze. Parts are everywhere, and owners regularly rack up 30,000 plus miles with just basic upkeep. So what's the problem? A 4-speed gearbox, carburetors, a bit of buzz at higher speeds, and styling that's, well, kind of invisible on a showroom floor. Newer riders think it's outdated. Experienced riders want more power. And so the VLX sits, ignored, undervalued, and priced to move. Dealers take them on trade, slap a price tag under $3,000, and pray someone bites. And that's your opportunity. Because if you want a cruiser that's reliable, customizable, and totally unpretentious, the Shadow VLX 600 might be the best kept secret in used bikes. It is easygoing, low-slung, and built to cruise all day. But what if you're after something sharper, something that leans into corners and lets you chase the red line? Without the drama or the price tag of a modern supersport, that's where this forgotten blade of the street comes in. Number 6, Suzuki Katana 600. If you're hunting for a used 600 that's bulletproof, cheap, and criminally underrated, the Suzuki Katana 600 deserves your attention. This air-oil-cooled 599 cubic centimeter inline 4 makes between 78 to 86 horsepower, depending on the year, with a fat torque curve that kicks in at everyday RPMs. It's carbureted, yes, but those Mikuni carbs are rock solid and easy to maintain. Think of it as the Honda Civic of sport bikes, not flashy, but dead reliable and easy to wrench on. It's heavier than modern supersports, around 483 pounds wet, but that weight translates to comfort. The upright seating position, soft suspension, and solid wind protection make it a perfect all-rounder for commuting, touring, or just ripping back roads at your own pace. So why does it get ignored? Well, it looks like your uncle's sport bike from 1999, no fuel injection, no ABS, no digital dash, and newer riders often shy away from carbs. But that's exactly why these bikes are cheap. $2,000 to $3,500 gets you a clean example, and dealers are desperate to move them, offering deep discounts just to clear showroom space. But for DIY riders, it's a goldmine. Parts are everywhere, maintenance is simple, and the community is full of helpful advice. With many examples pushing 50,000 plus miles, this bike proves that performance doesn't need to be high-strung. But for all its strengths, its extra weight, carb setup, and 90s dad bike styling kept it from winning over riders looking for something more stripped down, more minimalist. That's where the next machine found its moment. It dropped the flash, trimmed the fat, and leaned all the way into practical simplicity. And what made it special? It never tried to impress anyone. Number 5, Yamaha Seikka 2. The Yamaha Seikka 2 doesn't get much love, but maybe that's because it never asked for any. Built from 1992 to 1998, it's a 598 cubic centimeter air-cooled inline 4 that puts out 61 horsepower and 40.5 pound-feet of torque, no fuel injection, no ABS, just 4 Mikuni carbs, and a rock-solid engine that refuses to die. This isn't a flashy race replica. It's a practical, low-maintenance commuter that can handle touring, 2-up rides, and weekend carving. The upright seating position, soft suspension, and half fairing make it surprisingly comfy. It weighs around 445 to 467 pounds wet, which is manageable and planted. So why is it ignored? Well, it's plain. Analog gauges, basic brakes, some with just a single front disc. Plus, it takes forever to warm up stock due to lean factory jetting. Most owners install a jet kit to fix that. That said, used prices are a steal. $1,500 to $2,700 in the US, often even cheaper in Europe. These bikes are slow movers at dealers and auctions. So if you're a smart buyer, you can haggle hard. Parts are everywhere. Maintenance is dead simple. And the Seikka 2 engine is known to crack 50,000 plus miles with basic care. The Seikka 2 might be the no-nonsense commuter you didn't know you needed. But let's be real, sometimes you just want less. Less weight, less drama, less of everything. A kind of bike that strips it all back. No gadgets, no gimmicks, Just pure, uncomplicated riding. And that's exactly what's coming next. A bare-bones machine that proves you don't need much to have a blast. What made it so addictive? You'll find out in just a second. Number 4. Suzuki GS500. The Suzuki GS500 is one of the most underrated beginner bikes ever made. Powered by a 487cc air-cooled parallel twin, it cranks out around 50 to 52 horsepower at 9,200 RPM and about 31 pound-feet of torque at 7,500. With a dry weight of 372 pounds and wet weight hovering around 425 to 438 pounds, it's light, manageable, and easy to handle. Built from 1989 to 2009, longer in Latin America, it came in both naked and fair GS500F versions. It runs Mikuni 34mm carbs and features a DOHC design with 2 valves per cylinder. No fuel injection, no ABS, no rider aids. And yet, it just works. That simplicity is its greatest strength. The GS500 is famously bulletproof, with many owners racking up 50,000 to 100,000 plus miles on original engines. Parts are cheap, maintenance is DIY friendly, and the engine is forgiving. It's no surprise that it's still a go-to for commuters and new riders. So why does it sit unloved? Styling is basic, no fancy electronics. The soft suspension and single-disc brakes won't thrill sport riders. And the carburetors still scare off newer riders who think EFI is the only option. But here's the kicker. Dealers need these off their floors. They're old, slow to move, and priced to sell, often between $1,500 and $5,000. The GS500 isn't flashy, but it's rock solid. The GS500 gets the job done, no doubt, but for some riders, it can start to feel just a little too mellow. It misses that extra spark when you really crack the throttle, when you're carving corners, or chasing a little more adrenaline. So they started looking for something that still had that simple, bulletproof vibe, but with a little more attitude. That's where they found what's coming next. Same rock-solid DNA, but with sharper reflexes, quicker handling, and a sportier streak. Number 3, Kawasaki Ninja 500R. The Kawasaki Ninja 500R, also known as the EX500, is a classic middleweight sport bike that's been quietly winning riders over since 1987. With a 498 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled DOHC parallel twin, it puts out around 50 horsepower and 31 pound-feet of torque. Weighing in between 408 to 438 pounds wet, it's light, flickable, and forgiving. Kawasaki kept this bike carbureted until the end of production in 2009. No ABS, no ride modes, just raw, analog simplicity. It got a mild refresh in 1994, adding updated styling, bigger wheels, and a rear disc brake, but stayed true to its mission. Fast enough to be fun, simple enough to wrench on. Reliability, off the charts. These engines are known to last 100,000 plus miles with basic upkeep. Owners report years of drama-free riding, and maintenance is straightforward. Valve adjustments, chain and sprocket swaps, carb cleaning, nothing fancy. So why do they sit unsold? Newer riders often overlook the Ninja 500R for lack of tech and flashy design. It's old school, and in today's world of fuel injection and TFT dashboards, it feels dated, but that's also its charm. Dealers know these bikes are hard to move, so they cut prices and push trade-ins. You can often snag one for $2,000 to $5,000, less if you're patient. But the real value? An army of loyal owners, loads of aftermarket parts, low insurance costs, and rock-solid dependability. It's a legit starter bike that still holds up for seasoned riders. But when it comes to real muscle, it can feel a bit too tame for those craving more thrill. Riders started looking for something with bigger power and presence. A bike that didn't just ride, but made a statement. That's where dealers are really pushing the next one. Same bulletproof heritage, but with raw horsepower and muscle bike swagger that still turns heads, even after all these years. Number 2, Kawasaki KZ1000. The Kawasaki KZ1000 is one of the baddest bikes to roll out of the 70s. With a 1,015 cubic centimeter air-cooled inline-4, this was the muscle bike that crushed quarter miles and outran police cars, literally. Early models made 83 horsepower, with later versions climbing into the 90s. Top speeds hit 130 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest production bikes of its day. And it wasn't just speed, it was reliability. These engines are famously bulletproof, with automatic cam chain tensioners and tough-as-nails build quality. But here's the thing, dealers are still trying to move these bikes even though collectors are scooping them up. Why? Because most modern buyers don't want carbs, heavy frames, or analog gauges. They want ABS, fuel injection, and flickable handling. The KZ1000 doesn't have any of that. It's old school, it's heavy, it's raw. But that's also why it's awesome. The brakes and suspension feel outdated. And yes, it can get twitchy at speed if you don't sort out the tires and forks. But fix those things and you've got a vintage beast that delivers pure mechanical riding joy. Used prices run from $3,000 to $8,000. And since they sit on lots longer, dealers are willing to deal. Trade-ins, discounts, anything to move them before they gather dust. Parts are still out there, and the KZ Rider forums are packed with DIY legends, keeping these bikes alive. If you want vintage Japanese muscle with real history, real character, and real fun, the KZ1000 is still king. And right now, dealers are begging you to give one a good home. But even kings answer to legends. The Kawasaki KZ1000 does its job. Solid and reliable, but push it harder, and it starts to feel a bit too tame. Riders craving more power, presence, and street cred began searching for something bigger, more throttle, more attitude, more legend. That's when the next beast showed up. Same trusted roots, but with serious muscle and a presence that stopped traffic. Number 1, Honda CB750. This is the bike that changed everything. The Honda CB750 wasn't just a motorcycle, it was the world's first superbike. Back in 1969, it hit the streets with a 736 cubic centimeter, air-cooled inline-4, front disc brake, and electric start, features unheard of on a mass-produced bike at the time. Early models made around 67 horsepower, later jumping to 78 horsepower in the DOHC versions. It was smooth, fast, and unbelievably reliable. And that's what made it a legend. Honda's engineering meant fewer breakdowns, easier maintenance, and a ride that just kept going. From 1969 to 2008, the CB750 came in many forms. K models, F models, customs, and the beloved Nighthawk 750. And while it's not flashy by today's standards, it still delivers rock-solid performance with that signature Honda dependability. So why are dealers begging you to buy one? Because newer riders chase tech, ABS, EFI, traction control. The CB750 has none of that. It's carbureted, heavy, analog. And that's exactly what makes it a treasure for vintage lovers, and exactly why dealers struggle to move them fast. Prices range from $3,000 for a later Nighthawk to $15,000 plus for an early Sandcast model. But many sit on lots longer, which means dealers often offer trade-ins, markdowns, or bundled deals to clear space. Parts? Still easy to find. Maintenance? Straightforward. And there's a huge community ready to help you wrench. The CB750 isn't just a motorcycle, it's history on two wheels. And if you've ever dreamed of owning a bike that defined a generation, this is your shot. Right now, dealers are motivated, and that means opportunity. Click the next video on the screen right now to keep watching. Subscribe to stay engaged for more amazing content.